if you don't think you are the best, you'll never be. When you are building something that's important, you'll realize how useless cars are.
To the issues that we face. How do we build such people of caliber?
Black people don't have money. You guys don't have money. I don't like going to shacks or township. I don't like it.
All I'm listening to now is frustrations.
But first, let's start there. The name is more than just money. I coined it. It's a drop from heaven. How would you drive a Volvo when there's an M4 and an M3? Volvo S60.
Hey everyone, welcome to the It's More Than Just Money channel. Today we're doing things a bit differently. It's an exciting time, it's going to be an exciting one. I think I sit here representing certain people who would love to have a conversation with Witness, the founder of the movement It's More Than Just Money. So today, he is my guest. I'll be hosting him on this episode. And we're also shooting live from Sea Point, Cape Town. So we have a crowd with us, a very exciting crowd, high energy. So we are going to involve them in our conversation as well as we flow, as they get engaged and stimulated. We'd like to hear some of the thoughts and take it onto the conversation to give you the feel of today's episode, today's seminar, actually. So welcome, Witness, to this episode.
I feel welcome. Thank you for welcoming me.
So today, I'm going to be asking you a couple of questions, but that's only because I'm trying to understand the depths of what you are doing, right? Today, we are celebrating 30,000 subscribers. You just spoke about the journey of how that has been. I'd like to know, what does today mean to you, or this milestone mean to you, before we take it all the way back to why you do what you do?
You know what's interesting? When we were at the place where we're staying in Cape Town this morning, I don't know who I was telling, but I was saying to the person that my mind is no longer here. I'm already thinking about the next thing. So I think I celebrated 30,000 subscribers before you even got there. The cake is just a formality, So that feeling of excitement, it's already gone. I'm already focused on something else. Although, yes, we'll celebrate. Yes, we'll enjoy the cake. But my mind is now focused on the next goal. Yeah.
Maybe we should double down on that. I mean, we sit here with entrepreneurs, with trailblazers, visionary leaders especially, and this speaks to that trait of having a vision and rather living in the future. What does that even mean?
Living in the future.
Living in the future.
I don't necessarily live in the future, personally, but I'm obviously constantly looking at what is it that I can do next, right? I don't live in the future. I don't live in the past. I let go of things very easily. But I've also got an optimistic way in which I look at my life and look at the things that I'm doing. But there's no living in the future. I hear people say that a lot, that you've got to visualize, live in the future. Yeah, I've got a vision, but I live in the moment. Like, if I'm here, I'm present. So for me, it's about being in the present and making it count. When I say that my mind is already somewhere else, I mean, I'm now on my next goal. Not necessarily living here, but thinking about how do we execute on our next goal. Yeah.
Let's speak about the movement currently as it's branching out. When someone sees the brand, it's more than just money. Firstly, they ask the philosophy around it. It's more than just money. What does that even mean? And then you realize, oh, there's a book. Oh, these people travel. What are they doing? And then you realize people are branded. You also get to realize that there's a workbook That's something else separate from the book. So maybe let's talk about that, the branching out of the movement, and what are you actually trying to do with the movement?
Well, first, let's start there. The name It's More Than Just Money. I coined it. Ne? It's a drop from heaven. But
Okay.
but the thing is, it wasn't necessarily something that set out to be a movement or anything. I wasn't starting a movement. So it was locked down. I was writing a lot of posts on social media. I was sharing property investing knowledge. Miguel actually alluded to that I was writing a lot and sharing social media knowledge, sharing knowledge on property investing. It was locked down. And a lot of people started to comment on my stuff and share my stuff. My posts were trending. And a lot of them started to also inbox me and say to me, how do I make money? That was the question. Every day, how do I make money? Witness, how do I make money? Then it dawned on me that, guys, it's more than just money. Like there has to be a certain way of doing things for you to attract the right people into your space that are going to help you execute your goals. If your goal is just to make money, money is a team sport. You make money because you've got a certain. Did you look at that PowerPoint that Miguel had? It had power team. Did you see that?
I saw the
power
power
team. And yet estate agents, attorneys, all those people. All of that speaks to your capacity to build and maintain relationships with people and also use those relationships to execute on the projects that you have or in the money or the business that you want to start. So that's where it started. And I wanted to write a book that speaks to that, but also teach people how to invest in property, right? There are 3 cornerstones of wealth creation, which I talk about in the book. It's business, property, shares, cornerstones of wealth creation. All of them, they are cornerstones because they've been tested by centuries. Now, one can say crypto is making a lot of millionaires, but it's not a cornerstone of wealth creation because it's not been tested by hundreds of years of being around. Now, business, whether you work in it or you run it, has been around even before Jesus was born. Business has been around. Abraham was a businessman. He was in livestock. The Bible says he was rich. The Bible says Jesus was born in a manger. Did you know that? Or you don't read the Bible? So it says he was born in a manger, right? But it gives a reason why he was born there. It says because the inn where he was supposed to be born was what? Was full. He wasn't born in a manger because he was poor. He was born in a manger because there was no accommodation.
Yeah.
Somebody's Airbnb was full that night. And he chased away the Messiah. You understand? So that's in the Bible. That's what the Bible says. When you read it, it's both practical and spiritual, but I look at the practical side. Then it talks about that guy that was beaten, and the Good Samaritan came and bandaged his wound. It says he took him to an inn and paid for 3 months. Right? So in that story, someone is being beaten, someone is clothing him or taking care of him, but someone has an Airbnb there. 2,000 years ago in the time of Jesus, that guy was making money. We don't know his name. We don't know if he's black or white, but we know he made money that night. And Jesus is the one that tells the story. He doesn't condemn the guy. He doesn't say the guy is greedy for not allowing the other guy to stay for free. He condemns the Pharisee who looked at the guy past him. He condemns the priest who looked at the guy and passed him. He commends the Good Samaritan, but he says nothing about that guy. But that guy is making money. You know, in the whole story, the significance, how I read that Bible, when Jesus is talking there, I say, Lord, I hear you. This guy was making money.
Message received.
Message received. Right? And then thirdly, you look at shares. Even when you read any ancient book, if the king wanted spears to be made, right? And the person that makes the spears couldn't afford to fund it with his own gold, he would go and borrow or partner with other people that invest in his project so that he can produce the spears. That's shares. It's shares. It's been around. When the companies on the JSE get on the JSE to raise money, they are borrowing from the public. They are raising money from investors. public investors, so that they can execute the duties of the business, which is to make and create profit, ultimate profit for the shareholder. Primarily those that are working in the business and those that are investing publicly through the stock exchange. So it was written for people to understand why it's important to center everything that you do when it comes to money around the cornerstones of wealth creation, doing business, investing in property, and extending your investments into shares. However, how actually the YouTube channel, for instance, was started. My ex-wife and I used to mentor some young guys in church, right? And there was this boy I used to mentor. I used to pay for his camps, basically anything he needed, I'd pay for. Then that guy comes to me in 2021 and he says to me, I've actually started a YouTube channel in your name. Like, YouTube channel? What for, Manju? And he's like, no. I know you speak well, so I want you to have a YouTube channel. I had no idea what to do with a YouTube channel. I'm like, this guy must just leave me alone. But he was persistent. Every week he came to my house and made me shoot some videos. If you go on the channel, old videos are there. He would make me shoot some videos and talk. And I did that for him. When the channel reached 1,000 subscribers, it happened within a week or two. He gave me the login details and said, I've repaid you for the mentorship. What you do with the channel is up to you. Okay, I had the login, but I did 1 or 2 interviews because I wasn't interested in being a YouTuber, right? At the time, I wasn't interested in being a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. Then another friend of ours, a friend of mine, I had been on I had volunteered at a radio station and I was interviewing business people at the radio station. Saw me interview some people, said to me, you are very good at interviewing people. You should have a podcast. I'm like, not this conversation again. I'm a podcast one, man. I've got properties to build. I've got business to run. I don't have time for podcasts. Then the guy's like, okay, it's fine. I'll bring your first guest. And he brought the guest and he brought the equipment. In fact, we shot that podcast at the guest's office. One of the guys that I hear was actually given to me by the guy and said, go shoot this podcast with Witness. The guy also brought the technical team. So I went in, I shot the first podcast, then shot the second one. But there's something about me, man. I don't like doing things and not winning. So I thought, if I'm going to do this thing with my time, why the hell would I be doing it just for the sake of doing it?
Yeah.
I want it to be one of the best in the country. If you search the best business YouTube channel in the country, by the way, we're number 1 by numbers. There's no other. Who is it? Who is it? Is there anyone that you know? Who? Oh, I'm not hearing any names.
So before we speak about the power of the platform and the book itself, you're speaking about these events happening as if they were accidental and there was no intention. But you had intention with the book. Even that was influenced probably by Facebook.
The book is quite interesting. In 2016, I wanted to write a book, right? I had quit my job 2 years before, and I had gone into construction. Then I ran my construction business, and I started investing in property actively. I thought, let me write a book. But then I was sitting alone and hang on. I'm like, nobody knows you. What are you going to say in the book? You don't have experience. You just started. What are you writing a book for? And I didn't even have a proper title. And that book, I remember I saw the notebook at home the other day. It was called Faith, Family, Finance. I'm like, who's going to buy a book like that? Then I'm like, leave this book writing thing, go build properties. But I still had the desire. So in 2020, when we had the COVID, the previous year, 2019, I had wrote on my goals, I'll write a book within the next 10 years. So the goal was to write the book in 2029. Didn't know the name, didn't know the title. But when people started saying, we like what you write on social media, you write very good, I then said to them, by the way, before I even started putting pen to paper, I had 100 pre-orders for the book. Paid pre-orders. 100. Now, that sounds like it's little, but imagine you have 100 people in this room giving you money for something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So they liked the post so much. I said to them, I'm going to write a book. But before I write a book, I want at least 100 pre-orders. Then I'll write it. Then I got 100 pre-orders. Then I'm like, damn, I have to write the book now. Now I was forced to, that's why it took 2 months. I was forced to deliver. And some of my friends who had ordered kept on calling, hey, Mdaka, hey, you can't carry the So what that means is that we paid you. Where's the book?
Yeah.
Then I didn't want to ruin my credibility. So I was diligent in making sure that I write the book. And in fact, when I thought about writing it, it was because there were 7,000. When I started writing on social media, I had about maybe 500 followers. In about a week or two, I had 7,000 followers.
Jeez.
Then I said, nah, I don't like people following me. For what? Why are these people following me? But then I realized, but there could be a commercial opportunity here. What can we create to offer these people? Let me write the book. But before you write it, test the market. Is there demand? Will anyone buy it? When I had 100 pre-orders, I was like, okay, they want me to write the book. 100 people is enough. That's in 2020. The rest is not history. It's history in the making.
Yeah. But we speak about it as if, like I did say, as if it was accidental. You got into podcasting accidentally. I don't know, other things, but accidentally. Where do you then bring everything together so that it is so much of value and impact?
Yeah. So there's nothing like an accident. You know why? Everything that you are going through in your life, some of it is predetermined. The people that you meet were not in this room by accident. You can't, if I was to stand on this chair, stand on it. I can't accidentally get on top of it. Do you get it? If I want to climb on top of this table, can I accidentally climb on it?
No.
I can't, right?
There's a force at play.
But if I'm standing on top of this table, can I accidentally fall? Can you see that? But for elevation to happen in your life, it doesn't happen by accident. Now, this morning, I took a walk. 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, I took a walk. And as I'm taking this walk, I go to the sea, then I come back, come here. When I have breakfast, then they're like, breakfast is not ready. Then I leave, I go to Starbucks. As I'm arriving, another guy, an American, is arriving. His name is Robert. Robert is my new best friend, me and him, like this. So I arrived there, Robert is arriving. I'm like, okay, we start talking. We talk about Trump and whatever. So they were not open yet, but the lady comes out and said, guys, I can open for you, but we're not ready yet. Robert and I sit down. We sit and chat for about an hour and a half before I come back to the Airbnb. We sit and chat for about an hour and a half. We chat investing, venture capital, everything. Just as guys, we chatted for an hour before I even knew his name or he knew mine. Only after an hour, it's like, can I have your number? What's your name? I'm like, oh, shucks. What's your name? Right? But there's something very interesting. You see, everything that I've gone through in my life and that I've done prepared me to have met him at the door today.
Yeah.
Because conversations that we had, he's in venture capital. He's an American doing venture capital in South Africa. He's invested in Yoko, all these other companies, Luli. So he's done big projects. Now, I'm from the township, man. Even at primary school, I learned English in Setswana. Do you understand that? They say, Uncle, malume. Do you understand? So, and then in high school, then I did some private school, and then I did a private university. But my primary school education, a boy like that needed to have been prepared by life to meet a guy like that and talk venture capital. And he understands exactly what venture capital is. And we talk about, he was more now invested in our movement. He's like, okay, what kind of entrepreneurs do you have in the movement? It's incredible what you're doing. It aligns with what we are doing. Now we're talking, how do we collaborate? Do you understand? You can't talk about things like that if life has not prepared you, or if you didn't become intentional in preparing yourself. A lot of the people that are in the rooms here are professionals, business people, or aspiring business people. Now, they're not here by mistake, or we didn't attract them by mistake. There's a level of preparation, knowingly or unknowingly, that we put into place for us to be able to attract these kinds of people. I cooked there.
Yeah. And as I'm having you today as one of the trailblazers that we usually have on the movement, what do you say to the character of builders in this nation? People who actually leave a footprint in how the economy functions. You know, I mean, you are in the business of property. Driving down, I don't know, maybe Joburg, you can pinpoint at certain buildings and be like, I know who built that. I know which company built that. I know the founder of that company. It's so interesting that we have people of such value who come and sit and share their stories. I want you to tell me.
You must put it right. Say, who come and sit with you?
Who come and sit on the channel to have a conversation and document their stories. I want us to speak about the importance of building, the importance of being a builder and dedicating yourself. Because you literally listen to the story in one lifetime of about 30 years. Someone will build something of such national impact.
Like that guy who built the 70 billion rand book.
Who does that? Who does that? You know, the invention, I mean, the incredible minds, the solutions finding to the issues that we face. How do we build such people of caliber?
You see, here's the thing. And because I've sat with these people, I can answer you. A lot of them didn't set out to build these things. A lot of them knew they were going to build something great, but they just wanted to enjoy the journey of the building. When I summarize it, because when you look at their individual journeys in terms of the property portfolios they've built, the businesses they've built, different kinds of businesses they've been involved in, it was more about what sort of impact can I add? What sort of problem can I solve? You know, I interviewed a guy who back in the day was one of the founders of 702 and invented talk radio, brought talk radio into South Africa. A guy like that literally was just being a problem solver. If you listen to what the story is like. Now, it sounds accidental, but it simply says a problem was presented to him and he had to have a comeback and a solution for that specific problem. Now, for instance, it's more than just money. Personally, it pains me when I see black people suffering. I don't know about other people, but personally, I don't know why God put that burden in my heart. I don't like going to shacks or township. I don't like it. Now, I might have been from the township, but I hate it. Why do I hate it? Because when I see that, I ask myself, are black people God's stepchildren or what? How come? Yeah, but it's the truth. It's a good question. I would ask him if I was to meet him. How come other people can enjoy heaven on earth? Now, some of the people I interview, I've been to some of their houses. It is heaven on earth. Right? And then your preacher is going to say, when you die, you're going to go to heaven and you'll walk on the streets of gold. You've never held gold in your life, Precious. How are you going to know which one is real, which one is not? So, you live in poverty and somebody is saying you live in wealth when you get to heaven. Wealth must come now. What does your Bible say? Let your will be done on earth as it is where? So if the gold is in heaven, it must be where? How do we read this Bible? And now when you start to apply your thinking, because this now informs how you think, right? It's what the world is saying you must enjoy. Is that really it?
Never.
Like your whole
There's so much
existence,
more.
you must live in a shack and you must be excited to wear Gucci. Really?
It can't be.
That you call that success? You bought a Gucci and you bought an M4. Somebody owns the company where you bought that Gucci to come brag to us. You are happy with the fragment of wearing some shoe and say it's 20,000. My man, sit down. Poverty has damaged you. And we now start defining success according to material things that we have no control over, industries that we don't even own. So for me, it's now to bridge the gap. I could have seen there are people who live here on earth as it is in heaven.
Yeah.
I must bridge the gap with those who haven't experienced that real one yet. So that you can see, the Gucci that you brag to people about, that car that you brag to people about. Man, there are people that can buy 100, but they don't even buy.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So, and exposure gives you that. I was at the Jewish Achievers Awards, invited by a friend of mine. He's the chairman of the awards. I was sitting there. I was sitting in the front. And I was just soaking it in. The kinds of business people that stood there to receive awards. I just decided on the day, in my heart, black people don't have money. You guys don't have money. There's real money. There are people who have real money, like proper real money. They own industries, not a little bit, a lot. And look at social media. We're the only people or tribe on social media that's bragging or displaying wealth that we don't own. I mean, even if you say, but white people are rich. They've built companies. It's the truth. They've built companies. And their companies are employing you.
You're moving away from the question, though. I was speaking to the character of the builders of these industries.
Yes,
and
but,
I think
and let me show you. I'm answering you. If you listen to what I'm saying, what's the character of the builders? No unnecessary display of consumerism, isn't it? That's the character of a builder. I asked Miguel here, I said, you can refinance your portfolio and buy a Ferrari. He can, but what did he say? No.
Yeah, so quickly.
It was very quick to say, no, Ferrari. It's
Character.
like, Ferrari for what now?
Yeah.
I want a portfolio. That's a character. He's displaying right here. No, I'm not interested in a Ferrari. I want to build a 1 billion rand portfolio. I want to build a 2 billion rand portfolio.
Yeah.
So the builder is saying, I might have achieved something, but it's not all there is. Now, the minute you start to understand that sort of character, and like I'm saying, the first company that I worked for was for a Jewish man. Now, it's the only company I ever worked for, by the way. But that man, I used to observe him. Very smart. Ran the company. Company is making millions. He drove that Volvo. I don't know he probably still has it. I know his character. That Volvo that he drove for many years. And I was driving with him to a client. The client was Telkom. Now, it was his client. He wanted me to be the campaign manager, which I eventually was on the client, right? And I asked him, when you're young and naive, I was young. I was 22, 23. And I said to him, Chief, why would you drive a Volvo when there's an M4 and an M3? Volvo S60, when you can literally afford to buy an M3. And he said to me, when you are building something that's important, you'll realize how useless cars are. I didn't get it then, but I get it now. You'll realize how much it will delay you to chase materialism and consumerism and slay queens. Oh, they're beautiful to look at. I mean, but look at the culture of black people. It's a culture thing. Now, you said correct. Culture. Ne? There's a difference between the character of the builder and the culture from which the builder comes from. Can we talk about that? And let me tell you what I mean by that. I said I was at the Jewish Achievers Awards. Every man that went there, I want to thank my parents.
Yeah.
Now, these are billionaires. I want to thank my parents. I want to thank my mentors. I want to thank my kids. I want to thank It's a community. Can you hear that? Mentor, parents, kids. All of them said that. Now, when you look at how they train and develop their kids, from a young age, they read the Torah. What is that? They value education and literacy. You read the Torah so you can understand your culture. Now, we say we are Christian. Have you ever read the Bible from cover to cover? Well, I know you're not Christian, but yeah, she's not. Are you afraid of saying you're not Christian? I agree you said you're not Christian.
I'm not.
You're not Christian, so you've never read the Bible from cover to cover. Well, I'm a Christian. At least I've got 2 years Bible school. I've got a diploma in ministry. I don't look like I have it, but I have it.
You sound you sound like a pastor.
Yeah, no, I don't sound like a pastor.
It comes out.
I sound intelligent, but I don't sound like a pastor. But the point I'm making is, right, and we are bantering. Some of these things I'm saying are jokes, but there's a deeper meaning in there. These guys study the Torah from an early age, so the kids are more inclined to understand the words when they read them. And it builds a sense of community and culture in them. Then there's a culture of entrepreneurship. Now, one of the men that won awards that night, I'll mention his name, Michael Lewis, right? I'm like, who's Michael Lewis now? And they play his video. His father is the founder of Lewis Stores. Do you know that store, that furniture store? His father is the founder of that. Then his father bought Foschini. Then this guy, he's getting an award for being the person who's built the TFG group, Truett's Foschini group, with over 35 brands and more than 50,000 people employed. Have you ever seen that guy on Instagram with a Bentley? You didn't even know he existed. Even I didn't even know he existed. But imagine the kind of businesses that this man has built over the years. And we have a little bit of 100 million yana. We won't sleep with Precious.
We can do better. We can do better.
And another guy won an award, right? He runs Bidvest Services. Now, we know Bidvest was started by Brian Joffe. But that guy's division, Bidvest Services, was the first business that Brian Joffe bought. And Brian mentored this guy. Now, I've met Brian, incredible entrepreneur. Now, that guy, his department, that little mom and pop laundromat that they bought in the early 90s has over 70,000 employees around the world. Now, if that doesn't blow your mind away and your focus is on consumerism, Gucci, Slay Queens, where's the next party? Yo, Precious, let me tell you another one. So there's this young boy there. He's 21.
Jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
He's winning an award. Sure. This boy started when he was 12 doing sneakers. He's the biggest sneaker distributor in the country. Did you know? 21-year-old. Nikes, whatever. It's a boy, 21. Josh Weinberg, I think is his name. He is the one. You know that tequila called Don Julio? Who knows Don Julio here? Yeah, when you groove, you guys, you brag about, I drink Don Julio. It was a teenager who brought it into the country to make you adults drink it. That boy is the one who brought Don Julio into the country. Incredible, incredible stuff. In fact, I must get in touch with Howie and I must interview him and I must ask him, how did you get adults to brag about drinking something that was brought in by a teenager?
Yeah.
You know why it's easy to do that? Because we value stupid things.
It speaks to the culture, and maybe we can double down on that because you are building a movement or you are spearheading a movement. And all I'm listening to now is frustrations. And you are speaking to the things that we need to correct using vehicles such as It's More Than Just Money. Do you have a value system for the It's More Than Just Money that translates into culture, in how people behave, in how people think? I mean, you have a 20-year goal of being the best personal development coach in the country.
I'm already the best.
We can align the two.
I'll just live, I'll walk into it. I'm manifesting, I'm the best. Say amen. Like I said, some of these things are jokes, right? But there's a truth in it. Remember, if you don't think you are the best, you'll never be. You can't. I said we are the best business YouTube channel in this country. Ask him. When I interviewed the first lady that they brought to me, I told him I'm the Oprah Winfrey of business interviews.
First episode.
We're at 30,000 subscribers.
Is that faith or confidence or arrogance?
It's the truth.
Jeez.
And let me tell you, remember, every single person that has achieved something has got a certain level of conviction for it.
Of course.
Now, people can interpret it however way they want to interpret it. You'll never achieve anything if you don't think much about yourself. Some say it's narcissism. I don't know. Minapela English is not my first language. Right? Whatever descriptions you give it. I said to my ex-wife, when I was writing the book, I said to her, when I write this book, it must be a bestseller. I'm not in the business of doing things that fail. I'm not interested in writing a book that nobody's going to read. If Witness Mdaka writes it, people must read it. It must be a bestseller. Finish and clear, no negotiations. Now, whatever you believe about yourself, now going back to what we were talking about, human beings are consistent with who they believe they are. Now we're talking psychology now. And we're talking standards.
Personal identity.
Personal identity, psychology, standards. There are people you'll never date, no matter how much money they have. You know that?
I'm aware.
Because you've put a certain standard. There's a way of thinking you want to allow yourself. Now, I said human beings are consistent with who they believe they are. Right now, right? And we talked about cultures. And you're asking, what is the ethos of It's More Than Just Man? A guide to escaping the rat race and building generational wealth. There's a certain way a man who's building generational wealth thinks. See, when you ask me, girl, like I asked him, would you buy a Ferrari? And he says no. His thinking is not on consuming today. Some of the portfolios he's building, he'll never get to enjoy. He's doing it for the next generation. He doesn't want his kids to beg from your kids' pay. He's intentional. Other people are happy for their kids to beg from other people. Now, the ethos of It's More Than Just Money is, if you can build a business, let me tell you, my daughter will never lack a job. It's not pride. She'll never lack it. You know why? If my daughter walked into a room 20 years from today and the people that are here had capacity to employ her, they will employ her simply by being Witness Mdaka's daughter. That's the power of building for the next generation. Now, I didn't say money or whatever. I just said, if you've built something that has impacted somebody's life. Let me tell you, if my surname was Mandela, I would have monetized that name. I saw an article, was it an article or a video where they said the house is dilapidated, the kids can't afford. That name has got power, that name alone. Would you not give Mandela's daughter a tender? You
probably won't think much about it.
Yeah, but even if you don't give him, they'll get you fired. They're that powerful.
Yeah.
That name carries so much weight, but there are people who have that name that are not using it, and I'm not judging them. I'm saying if they were to give it to me, I would PR the hell out of that name. My statue would be next to the Queen there in England. Because life is a PR game. And you can never talk much about what you've achieved. In an interview, tell me, why do they say, tell us about yourself?
They want to hear the narrative of your story.
Okay, what if you get there and say, I'm humble, I haven't done much?
That's fine. That's how you want to be perceived, but it does nothing.
Are you going to get the job?
No, of course not.
I'm humble. I don't like talking about myself. Isn't it? Because people say, why do you talk about yourself? How will you know what I do if I don't talk about myself? How will you know what I'm capable of achieving if I'm not talking about myself? How are you going to know I can write the book in 2 months?
You have to say it.
I have to, and I did. It's a fact. And it's a best-selling book. It's a fact. And it's changing people's lives. They're buying properties. They're getting... It's a fact. You can call me a motivational speaker. You can call me... The results disagree with you. It's a fact. Now, a lot of people don't want to do that for themselves. And I know humility must come in. I don't know. Now I'm not humble. And I'm not interested in being a good man. I'm interested in being kind. I'm not nice, but I'm kind. Because a lot of us are trapped in niceness and goodness. And that in and of itself is arrogant. Who told you you're good? You're good. How do you know? Because the reason why some people will end up impressing even the people that they're not supposed to be impressing at the cost of their children is the fact that they want to be perceived as good people. You want to be perceived as a person, you're pleasing everybody.
Yeah.
Because you want to be called a good person. So, Subshap, you are the narcissist if that's the case. Because why can't you just be yourself and authentic? I mean, there are things, if you ask me, I can't give you, man. Simple as that. Why? I've got my own dreams, I've got my own vision, I've got a kid that I must pave the way for. Now, you said there's frustration in my voice. I did tell you it pains me when I see black people poor.
Yeah.
It does. I don't know why, but it does. Why? Because we're all equals on earth, man. All of us. But some are more equal than others.
Of course.
Animal farm, isn't it?
Yeah.
But all of us essentially have got the same creator. But some seem asleep more than others. And some are more creative than others. You know, Dean said you must forget the 20-year plan. He said you guys must forget the 20-year plan. For instance, hey, white people plan, Lona. They plan. Is that true or not? They plan. They plan for the next 50, 60. So, let me tell you this. At the Jewish Achievers Award, now I was blown away, guys. So, before he invited me, I'm sitting with Howie. And he says to me, Nati Kirsch, one of the South African billionaires, not billionaires in rands, in dollars, probably richer than Johan Rupert or on the same level, but quiet billionaire. He says to me, he bought the Perth, is it Perth? The city, the airport, Perth Airport in Australia. He bought it. One man bought an airport.
Yeah.
He was 80 years old when he bought it. Then he said to Howie, I've got a 50-year plan to develop this airport. Now it's an 80-year-old. An 80-year-old is saying, I've got a 50-year plan to develop this airport. So he's saying, my acquisition is going to outlive me. I'm 80, I could be enjoying, but I'm going to purchase an airport. And we've got a plan to develop this area around the airport for the next 50 years.
Can't happen without a plan.
Why would it happen without a plan? What have you ever achieved without a plan? And by the way, a plan doesn't mean it's going to be rigid, isn't it? It means it's like a rudder that guides a sheep. Oh, ship, not sheep, ship. There's a difference. There's a sheep, meh, there's a ship. Right? The rudder is the one that's able to guide. When you've got a plan, even when you go astray, you remember the plan is that. You know you want to achieve something in 5 years, for instance, a couple of properties or a business or a portfolio or Bitcoin or whatever, and somebody comes and offers you a cheapest amount on a Porsche. And you're like, but that's not part of my plan. But what if you don't have a plan.
It's easy to jump in.
It's easy to buy it because you don't have a plan. So it's important to understand exactly what you need to do and do it. I digressed, but I answered you.
You did, but we can continue with building. I mean, we are speaking about building at grand levels where even yourself, you have built yourself that much that you have the capacity to build at national level, right? So I want us to
International.
international. Let's go international.
I've done seminars outside South Africa, so that's international.
No, let's go international. Okay, let's go international.
Yeah.
I want us to speak big now, right? The mind is great. The identity is great. The culture is intact. You're building. Now let's speak about the art of building at national level. So we have R500 million projects. You're building roads that are gonna be around for the next 15 years or something like that. How do we align ourselves to build at that level?
So here's the thing, right? I hear the aligning yourself to build big things. What are you doing with the small things? I mean, you can't be thinking about billions and millions and you're not taking care of 2 rands. Because this whole thing, let me tell you, this whole thing, it's a habit thing. Trust me. Raising money for a 6 million rand project is the same as raising money for a 60,000 project, is the same as raising money for an 8 million project or 600 million project. Then the difference is the zeros.
The principles are the same.
Principles are exactly the same. Every single project. If you hear a guy saying, I've done 600 million, I don't get phased. Because the principles are the same. The difference now is the elevation of your thinking to believe that you are capable of doing that and convince other people to invest in what you're doing. That's the difference. But in terms of the principles to do the actual project, they're all the same. You can ask Miguel, he was a banker. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. 60 million, 6 million, whatever, it's the same thing.
Can we maybe compare the two? Because usually when you're doing a smaller project, let's say project there 20,000, you think there's a gap between that and a project there 2 million, that's worth 2 million.
Yeah, but it's a thinking gap.
Can we break it down in the middle?
It's a thinking gap. It's a thinking gap because, right, at 20,000 level, before I get into it, sometimes we think we don't deserve to do certain things.
Yeah.
That's where the problem is. You think you don't deserve a 20 million project.
But we created the gap.
No, maybe even you didn't create the gap. You found the gap there. But you feel you don't deserve. You're not the right person for it. But the question is, why not? And maybe you feel you don't deserve because you failed in the past. Maybe you blacklisted. Maybe you've got judgments. Or whatever that has happened to you. You've gotten divorced. I've gotten divorced. Right? Maybe you feel because of that, you're not the right person to be. But why not? Why can't you be the right person?
And it happens, like you're saying, even in the smallest of things, where you delay action because you just feel like I still need to do something a little bit better.
I need to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, there's a guy, I don't know who was telling me this story. It's a friend of mine. He grew up around his mother saying, rich people are bad.
Yeah.
That guy is making a lot of money. But you know, there was a point in time where he never had money. Like for some reason, he'd find a bad project and invest in it. Because it was subconscious until he realized or went to someone who spoke to him and said, but you are actively sabotaging yourself because you feel you don't deserve a lot of money. Because your mother says, you grew up your mother saying rich people are bad. When you make money, now you think your mother is going to think you are bad. Subconscious. So you have capacity to operate at that level, but you mess it up. You mess it up because intrinsically you don't think you are valuable enough. And sometimes black people, it happens to us. You don't think you are valuable enough. You think other races deserve it, not you. It's seen in how you say, yo, dilo tse ke tsa makgowa. Every nice thing you say, into zabelungu.
Yeah.
Have you noticed?
Of course.
Why is it not? What I mean, Miguel, is that someone will say these things are for white people. Because it's a nice thing, you call it, it's for white people. Batung, aren't you God's child? Come on, guys. You can do better for yourself, not to compete, but to collaborate. Now, most of my friends, if you've seen in my channel, you know one guy in Botswana is a billionaire, friend of mine, billionaire in Pula, right? His property portfolio is about 1.2 billion Pula. I couldn't believe it as well. 1.2 billion Pula. He said to me, where do you get all these white people you interview on your podcast? And I said, what do you mean, where do I get them? In South Africa, we have a lot of white people. I don't know. White people don't just go on any podcast. And I said to him, it's about the meeting of ideas and the value that can be created for other people in our country. They are more interested in that than they are in me. It's about the bigger goal. What are you doing for society? And in your doing for society, how much of it do you believe that you are the right person to do it? And I don't care who anyone says I'm the right person.
Of course.
Right?
Evidently.
And even if you were to, it's too late to convince me that I'm not. I'm brainwashed.
Self-brainwashed.
No, it's not self. It's not self. My mother played a role in brainwashing me. Good brainwashing. You know, my mother once held my hand. Ne? Let me hold your hand. Hey, don't hold like that. Hold properly. So I have some white spots on my fingers. They're still there. I had them when I was 12 years old. I was coming from rural Klapgat to stay with my mother in Tembisa. I had been raised by my great-grandmother. And my mother held my hand. And I won't say she lied. Maybe it's the truth. She was right. She's like, do you know what these spots on your fingers mean? Like, oh, I don't know. They mean you're going to be wealthy and successful when you grow up. You know, I believe that. And those spots were there because of calcium, lack of calcium.
Yeah.
But there's something that happens to you when you believe the right things about yourself and when you believe the wrong things about yourself.
Also.
I could be talking to a billionaire, which I have. I could be talking to a normal person. I'm the same. You know why? I'm content with who I am and I'm not looking for anything from anybody. I'm happy with who I am. Now, am I looking to improve myself? Definitely. I can always get better. Tell me where I'm wrong or where I'm not a good person. Tell me so I can improve. But I don't sit with another person and think they're better than me. Not here. Why? The brainwashing worked. That brainwashing, you're a good boy, you are capable, you are good enough, it worked. Now, it speaks to culture. How confident are you when you go out to do certain things that you believe you should be doing with your life? Whether it's pursuing your education, pursuing a property portfolio, pursuing a business, anything that you need to pursue, how confident are you?
Could it be that the environment is less powerful than the influence? Because there are people who are great, but until they're in conducive environments, they can't really know. What would it take for someone to know if they need to push themselves so that they break through and almost overpower the impact of environment, or vice versa? You're in the right environment, but you are not yet the best so much that you can maximize in the environment that you're in. How would you close that gap?
And you must align yourself with the right people. If your family is not the right environment, move, especially if you're over 18. Move out. Go live on your own. I mean, what is this thing with black people that we live with our parents until we're 50? What's that? And I'm not saying it because, again, they'll say he's speaking from a position of privilege. Whatever. Like, The point is, you're in this environment, it's not a good environment. Why are you allowing yourself to continue in that environment that's going to stifle you, that's going to put you down, that's going to take away your confidence? Go to places where you are going to be appreciated for who you are. Could be a mentor, could be a church leader, could be a brother in church, a friend. You know, the first time I read, for instance, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I was a very naughty kid, but as I had befriended this friend of mine from primary, Gift Nantumbo. He told me that your problem is that you don't read and you talk too much. Achoo. It hit here. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, here's a book, my man. Don't talk to me. Read this book. We're in a train and we're going to Pretoria. He gave me the book and he continued reading his book. Like, this guy thinks he's better, but hey, he's telling me the truth. Then I read
How
that
old
book.
were you?
We were 18.
Okay.
18, 19. We were going to register our first business. It's called The Four. There was 4 of us who were friends. And we registered The Four Recycling. Then 2 guys left us. Then there was me and him. We went and registered The Four.
That's lovely. I don't think you've told anyone this story.
It's my first business partner.
Ah.
Gift. Love him to death. My brother.
That's amazing. Can we speak about the impact of the movement in the next 10 to 20 years? I mean, people today got to listen to Miguel, give them the blueprint for what it takes to build a 20 million property portfolio in 7 years. They've listened to Lebo Grass tell them about many ways in which they can build their income streams, along with the R system that she speaks about again. You know, it's been exciting. I mean, we also listened to Dean speak to us about his journey in property in the last 4 years. Now, let's speak about the impact of the speakers on the broadcast channel, on the seminars, the impact that it has on people, the work that the movement continues to do nationwide. What does that really look like in the next 20 years? Imagine the people who are impacted, the people who are putting up structures, all because of the movement. What does that look like? If we were to pull 1,000 people in the next 20 years, what do you think they'd say about the movement or being part of the movement?
So I can't talk about what they're going to say in the future, right? But I can talk about those that already we've impacted. I mean, just here, there's a man who stood up and said, I bought a property because of the movement. For me, that's enough, right? That there's a lady, right? She works for the municipality. Unat. She wrote to me in 2020 after buying the book. She's like, I didn't know that as somebody who earns 8,000 rands as a cleaner, I could actually be eligible to get a home loan from the bank. Because of your book, I wanted to say I've got a home loan, I got a property, I'm renting it out, I'm continuing to stay with my parents. Then 2021, she wrote to me again on my birthday, and she said, I want to wish you a happy birthday, and I want to tell you how you changed my life. I have now saved 60,000 rands, and I'm buying my second property. That's my deposit. And I've started to build at home in Limpopo. My own house, not my parents' house, my own one. Then she came to we had a pop-up store at Mall of Africa early in the year. She came dressed,
to kill.
to the T. And she wore black to compliment me. Then she comes. I would witness. Like, yeah, you look great. What's going on? And then she told me that where she works, she's the loan shark. She's the loan shark. She borrows people money and they pay her an interest. And she told me how she's also started a salon. For me, that's one person that's going to provide for her kids.
Imagine.
Afford for her kids to go to university. That's my joy. Now, one guy can say, let's say you said to me, even if I didn't have property, I have, but let's say I didn't have my businesses, I would be happy to be the guy that's helping others get them. Just because of the joy I get from seeing another person say to me, my life has changed. Now, there's a guy, that guy, he also wrote to me on the same day as Auskuna. I'll show you the the thing, the screenshots. 2021, December. He writes to me, says, Witness, he was weepy. Witness, I wanted to kill myself and give myself to alcohol because my life was just terrible. I got across your profile. I read your book. I want to say that I now have a fruit and veg business and a trucking business. It was December and said, on the 5th of Jan 2022, I'm moving into my property with my family. Bruh, that
Beautiful.
I mean, call me arrogant. Yes, if that's what it does, I'm arrogant. I'm happy to be. If the arrogance produces prosperity for other people, let it be. Who am I harming? For me, the movement is about that. It's about how many of these people's lives can we change. If these people that are here can one day own 5 properties each, and I'm not saying everybody is going to be rich, but just being able to take care of yourself and your kids and you can prosper, that for me, we've done something. That's what the movement looks like. And if we've got 20,000 people, 3,000, 4,000, whatever, even one for me, it's like, wow. Wow.
That was amazing. I think this was incredible, even though we didn't have much time to go into other stuff and other parts of the movement. But I think you have clearly articulated the story of the movement, how it comes along, the impact it has, and where it's going. And we celebrate that today with the cake. We're all gonna have cake for the 30,000 subscribers, and we hope we'll be together again for the 300,000 subscribers.
Is there champagne? Hey, who said yes at the back? All right.
So it was amazing. It was amazing. Thank you to everybody who's watching, who continues to watch the podcast. We are always grateful to bring amazing conversations, and we hope it's actually building your life, your mind, your character, your family, your wealth, your future, and everything else around you. It's been amazing. This is from us. It's More Than Just Money movement, shooting live in Cape Town, Sea Point. It's been amazing. See you on the next one.